Good afternoon. This is the 5th of July 2023 and I'm going to do a bit of an earlier trade review for today. I've taken one trade and I'm pretty much done for the day unless I see a trade coming up in the last hour, power hour. So we're currently looking at the 1 hour chart on the MES and I identified this area today, 44.80.75. My pen. 44.80.75, just along here. So this is the area I was watching, and the reason for that is because we had a bit of a bull rally into that, and we sat at that level. Then we broke through it. We pulled back down to that level. This is on Friday, I believe, and then we pull back down into that level again, and then today in the pre-market we sat at this level, so it provided us support until it broke down through it. So what I was waiting for was a quick scalp. It was not really a scalp, it was a higher risk play back into that zone before it bounced back down, and that's what it did. So moving into my 5-minute chart. So I've got the 5-minute chart open. So today we saw the big open. I missed this nice little break here, this little RBI. That would have been a great play up long, but I generally kind of not try and play so close to the open, and I normally ignore the first couple of candles as well. Not always, but I do. So what I was doing, I was waiting for this zone to come into, so I took a small starter position in this zone. Going back onto the 60-minute chart again. This is something else I want to show you. I've got this volume profile bar. It's histogram, which is an indicator I found at the weekend. And what it does, it shows you volume for each price. And then it puts this volume control point of control bar in, which is this orange bar that runs across the screen. We're at the bar with the highest volume, which you can see just here. So it's kind of showing me where there is a natural area of resistance, right where we had lots of buying and selling, and so I kind of use that area as a more of a resistance area to short off as well. So going back into, so if you note the area 44.87. So let's go back into the 5-minute chart, and it draws it in. So 44.85 on a 5-minute chart, because it recalculates this histogram recalculates for the chart you're looking at. So it uses the first candle through to the last candle of that chart. So this area here was naturally an area of resistance on the hourly chart, and obviously I've got the hourly and the 5-minute open at the same time, so I'm keeping an eye on it. So today I went long, I went short, I meant, as I came into the zone about here. Then I added another one to the order there, and I was watching volume all the time, and 44.90 was going to be my stop area, or the area I was thinking to get out, that area there. As you can see, it did breach it, but it wasn't a convincing breach, and the reason I kept in was because I was watching volume. So we had the initial volume bars on the open, these ones, which I normally ignore because they're quite high volume anyway. And then if you look, we've had decline in volume all the way down. Oh, that's my note. I shall take a look at that in a minute. So we had decline in volume going all the way down, and the only time we had a raise in volume was every time we had a bit of a pullback. Like here, we had this this reversal candle here, and again there was no strength and there's no follow through. So even though we put in a big reversal and gave us above average candle, the next candle was lower than average, and as it's pulling back, the volume was declining. And the same here. We had this candle here, big candle, and we had smaller lower than average candle. And when I say average, this line takes the average, is what I use to find out whether it's below or above average. So, and then you can see here we had this pullback here with a big bottom tail, and we had this higher than average candle, and then the follow through was a little bit increase in volume, which you kind of expect on a pullback, and then it just volume dropped off again and it declined. So to me that looked like it was just running out of legs. So that's decline in volume, and then we had another above average volume bar, so, and this didn't really go anywhere, and then the next bar was lower volume and even lower volume, and then obviously we had this big sell-off here. I'll get to that in a minute, but the point is, by watching the volume, and on the 2-minute chart it's even clearer. Let's go to the 2. So on the 2-minute chart, so we had this big run, this big rally here, and then as you can see we had a run up, but really the volume was okay, but until about 10:30 this volume's not really good volume to base your trades on. And then we had this pullback, we had this high in volume, and then we came up here, and what I was doing is, even though I had a position there, and I think I had a position up here somewhere, I also took a position on every time it went high, and overall I had eight contracts in the end, and my average price was probably about here, so probably at the top edge of that zone roughly. And what I was doing when I was taking these positions, I was taking them on weak volume, so I was seeing volume below average, and then I took a position there, then it rallied back up again, and look at that, that was declining volume there, so I took another one, and I was watching this one up here, and again we had the higher volume, then the decline in volume, so it wasn't going anywhere, and I was confident that we weren't going to break out. And again on this one here we saw this rally up, a little bit of increase in volume there as we were selling off, and that's showing weakness in the market, because increasing volume when we're seeing a sell-off means that is a strong sell-off. Whereas had we saw lowering volume, like for example here we had low, the volume was getting lower as this was coming up, and that means to me that there was no buyers willing to push it out. And even when we took out this pivot here on this candle, it was on low volume, so there was just the buyers just weren't there today. And I could see also on the chart over here there wasn't much volume up here as well, and the main volume was still this 44.86 area. And you can see this is there, been there all day, this volume bar, this point of control, and you can see exactly where it keeps coming back to time and time again, and that's where all the volume is, and again up here. So today, by watching volume, and let's just show you the 30-minute as well, by watching the volume, look at the 30-minute. So we only had decline in volume all day. We had the initial run up, and look at that, we had that massive big volume bar, but on a small candle. Then we had this massive big candle on reducing volume. So that's an anomaly. Normally you'd expect it, if your market was strong, that would reflect the big candle we saw, so that would be an even bigger bar. But what we were seeing was reducing volume and into a weak market. So even though we had this big candle here, it was a smaller candle. Then we had a smaller candle, and it's getting smaller and smaller, the volume. And that was the only reason I kept in my trade, and that's the only reason I made a profit, because I didn't stop myself out, whereas I should have stopped myself out at 44.90. That's kind of my area, just along here, 44.90. I was looking for that area as a stop, but it's the weakness in the market what kept me in the trade, and I did, and we saw this sell-off here, so I didn't take as much off as I should have done. I took off there, and I took a bit off there as well, and then and then what I did is my break even was around about here. So what I did is I put some stops in there, so two contracts above and 4 below, and I went away and obviously had my dinner and stuff 'cause it's in the afternoon, and I had some limit orders down here as well. So I was hoping to see this move, but what really happened is I got stopped out all 3 times, and then obviously, even though my break even, I think my break even was just about there in the end because I averaged in, and I might have just been stopped out for break even had I just put my stops all in one place, and obviously the market sold off, so I missed out on that. Maybe I need to work on that side of it, because not saying, I was a bit disappointed when I come back and realise I've been stopped out and missed this rundown. But anyway, I just want to, at the end of the day, not once did I feel I was out of control of my trading, even though I had a higher than normal position up here, just by monitoring this volume. And that 30-minute chart was the one that did it the most. Just by looking at the volume, I was confident that I wasn't gonna break the top, so I was willing to hold a little bit more and risk a little bit more just for this rundown. So overall, it was a good day's trading, and I put a lot of work in over the weekend, going through my old charts and some trades and looking at volume and analysing volume, and it paid off today. Anyway, hopefully you also had a good day, and I will speak to some of you or see some of you soon. Bye bye.